Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I have an important question, and I think a lot of us do this. Are you somebody that says, like, for example, let's pick your job hypothetically, and you say, I don't want to be working these hours. I don't want to be not making enough money anymore. I don't want to be pushed around by my boss. That's just one example. Or, take it to relationships. I don't want to be in this relationship that just feels uncomfortable. Or I don't want to hear from somebody tell me what to do. I don't want to deal with that anymore. Have you ever thought about loving what can be or loving what is? We're going to talk about that today because it's so powerful. It's kind of the baseline, which is really our internal GPS, but we don't even realize we're doing it. And this all kind of ties into her website, centerforinnerwellness.com. The inner wellness is what's going on here, but we need to pull that out. And that can be done with hypnosis. She's a certified hypnotherapist. Becky Waters is back with us. Hey, Becky, how are you doing?
Hi, Steve. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, it's so good to have you back here. And many times I truly believe since we're toddlers, even before that, we're wired to be negative. It's that moment where you realize something, the salt shaker's on the table, and you walk up to it as a little 2-year-old and you reach for it. Wow, what is that? Let me see it. And what do your parents say? Don't do that. Stop. Put that down. Put that down. They mean well, but what they did was just program you to be negative. So when we look at situations, we're all looking at the negative, the things we don't want. I don't want this. I don't want that to be, instead of looking at it from a different perspective, what could be.
Yeah, and in fact, our primitive brains are hardwired to look for danger. And so left to its own devices, we're going to be looking out for danger. But, you can, with a neocortex, the new brain, we can, we don't have to go to that automatic place. But when we get stressed or in a negative place, we've gone into that fight flight. Any negative emotion is we've gone into fight flight. And so when we go into fight flight, we go into automatic pilot. Those early childhood trainings that we got, or, I can't have this, I can't have that. I don't want what's going on right now. And all I can think about is, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. Mm-hmm. Which we're programming ourselves for more of it.
To get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how, that's how the subconscious mind works. It doesn't know the difference. All it hears is the key words. So if you say, I don't want to work long hours, well, who does?
Yeah. And the subconscious mind doesn't know the word not. So it hears, I want
work long hours. Work long hours.
Because I'm giving that a lot of energy, and the subconscious mind goes on, how much energy do you put toward that? And there's a lot of energy there. So it goes, oh, we better do more of this.
It's your friend. I always look at it that way. It's not working against you. It just wants to please you. But when it hears these things, it's just hearing those key words, work long hours, don't make a lot of money. Or if it comes to relationships, be in a relationship where somebody controls me. All right, I got you. I'm your subconscious. I'm gonna get that done for you because I love you. And then,
yeah.
It didn't mean to hurt you, but it doesn't know any better. It's what it is, Becky. It's almost as if your subconscious is so smart, but so stupid at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's literally like a small child. It just that hasn't figured out Santa Claus yet, so it doesn't know the difference between real and make believe, and it believes whatever you tell it. And you tell it over and over and over.
Sure. You'll get it. Yeah. I can speak from experience because I did not realize all of this many years ago, but I can, and I don't have to go into detail, but trust me, when I tell you that the things I used to say, the language I used to use over the last, call it 12 years, certain things that I would say that bothered me. I'm not kidding you when I tell you, they all came true.
Yeah.
They all came true. And I don't think it was, and people say I'm intuitive. I don't know if I am, whatever, astrologers, psychics, whatever. And we all have a sense of intuitiveness anyway. But I don't think it was that. I think I asked for it. You know, that old phrase, you know, your parents told you
Yeah,
back in the day, be careful what you ask for. It's true. You get
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And I've had people say, "Well, I'm just looking at reality." Well, reality is what is. What is you know what we're experiencing right now is what all of our thoughts and experience and whatever has brought to us at this point. The future begins right now with what we're planting in our minds right now. And if we keep looking at reality and saying, I don't want this, I don't want this, I don't want this, then we just get more of it.
Mm.
And, but it's a habit of looking at this way, of thinking this way, because kind of in the world, it's you look at what you have in the world and think, okay, how can I change this? I change it to make life better. But that's not really how things work, because outside is a reflection of what's inside. And
You often say, though, love what is. And I think that comes from somebody said that principle, whatever it may be.
yeah, Byron Katie wrote a book, Loving What Is. I mean, just the title is tremendous. Love what is.
Well, let's go there. When you love what if the is something you don't want? So, for example, what if, and again, we're just, riffing here hypothetically, job
Mhm.
wise, what if the is you're working long hours, you're not making a lot of money, your boss is not your most favorite person in the world? That is what it is. Why should you love what is?
So, I love, metaphors and little illustrations. I always tell my clients, it's like you're sitting at a red light in your car. The light's red, it turns green. Of course, you got your foot on the brake. It turns green, and you're cussing the car for not going forward because you've got your foot on the brake, and of course, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's kind of the same way if we're always focusing on I don't want this. We can't go anywhere because we're in fight flight. And when you're in fight flight, you can't see the possibilities. It may be the perfect situation answer right here, but you can't see it because you're so tunnel vision. I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. And so if you can just back off, get your foot off the brake and just say, okay, this is what is. I don't like it. You're not saying this is what I want or I like this. You're saying, all right, this is what is right now. I don't maybe like it, but how can I work with this? What is it I really want? And then you can, if you get back to that state of calm and okayness, then you can use that higher part of your brain and be creative and look at, okay,
Hmm.
what do I want? And begin to think about that and spend energy on what I want. And then the subconscious mind goes, oh, you want that? Oh, well, give me some more of that. It knows about, give me the more energy you put toward what you want, not about what you don't have. That's the trick. But what you actually truly want and feel that, then you begin to see the possibilities of that. Yeah.
Is loving what is accepting your reality and not to use a cliche, but going back to the old, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. That's a great statement. That way you're not fighting against it. You're not fighting that tiger. You're just saying, all right, that tiger is there. I don't necessarily like it, but
Mm.
I'm not going to be afraid of it. I'm not going to put energy toward it. I'm just going to go on about my business, focus on this, how I want to be. How can I make the best of this? And be in that place of well-being, that
Mm.
because we're either in fight flight or we're in rest and restore. And
It-
when we're in fight flight, we literally can't see.
it's it's almost as if it's accepting your reality, and usually when you say it is what it is, it's usually not a good thing. You're accepting things that you can't control. Like nobody, Becky, oh my gosh, Mega Millions, you just won $4 million. Who's going to walk around and say, It is what it is. It is what it
Yeah.
is, but I think it's more when you say loving what is or it is what it is usually those things that you don't have the control over, but you're not going to let it control you. You're going
Yeah.
to accept it and then find ways to move forward from it.
And that's important, not letting it control you. Because as long as you are defending against it, you've given away your power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it's a situation or a person.
And I believe based on what we're talking about is you're promoting more of what it is, not necessarily what unless it's $4 million,
Yeah.
but you're promoting more of what that is instead of focusing on what you want it to be or what you think it should
Yeah.
be. Um, it's powerful the language that we put out there.
Yeah. Because that subconscious mind is listening. Your words, I think, what's her name? Frances from the early 1900s. Your word is your wand, literally.
Hmm. Interesting. It's often been said too that words are like weapons, like a sword, but when you flip it
Yeah.
around the other way, it's magical, where you can wave that
Yeah.
wand just by
Yeah.
using your words and influence what's going to happen in your life. It's not like it's not as if you're going to wave that word wand and make magic happen. It's you're telling yourself what to do by waving that word wand,
Right. And then
whether good for bad.
yeah, and then you've got to pay attention to the feeling underneath it, because we were talking about it is what it is. Well, you could say that with a fu attitude,
Mm, yeah.
or you can say it with it's okay. I'm at peace with this.
In learning all of this in the past, I think I took it with the F it attitude.
Yeah,
Now when I say it is what it is, and people will, say to me, "You really got to say that?" But it's the reality. It's the truth. You're speaking the truth, and you're accepting what is the truth, whether
yeah,
you ask for it or not. But it's almost for me, I look at it as this is what it is. Not necessarily I'm for it, but I know that I can move past it because it's been accepted.
yeah, and that's important. That you can move past it. It's not a way of saying, okay, it is what it is. I just give up.
Right.
It's it is what it is. I'm okay with this because I know that creates a better mindset. So I'm, have my creativity, intuitiveness, and
Hmm.
can look at how do I want things to be and take steps to improve.
And if it centers around somebody doing something, maybe not in alignment with what you believe in,
Mhm.
it is what it is turns into, or it's the same thing is they are who they are. So
Yeah,
I can't change the way they are.
yeah,
If I try to, all I'm doing is wasting my energy on that over there, where I could be using that energy over here for a positive outcome, positive
right.
change, and I'm not letting them control me. They are who they are. What am I going to
Yeah,
do about it?
allow them. The big question is how can I allow this person to be who they are and keep my peace?
Yeah, because many times in those situations, you can't just kiss them goodbye. You can't will them to go away. You're
Right.
you're stuck with them. So you have to make the best of that situation,
Yeah.
but you can also put up your boundaries and put them in their
Right.
corner and then use that as a positive to move
Yeah.
forward in your life, whatever that might be.
Right. And in relationships, those especially those ones that perhaps it's family or kids or you
Mm,
know, it's about they are who they are, accepting that, and then also seeing that highest version of them. Because I think,
mm.
you know, especially with
Yeah.
children or spouses, you know, having that have it, having that highest vision of them, and especially children, they will live up to that, and even spouses can do the same thing. But if you're always thinking, you know, you're such a nag or da, 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 whatever it is, it, there's a lot going on beyond the five senses. We feel that energy. And so having that highest,
Hmm.
you know, aspirations for that person.
I agree with you. It's easier said than done,
Oh, yeah.
especially if that person has, in your belief, or maybe it's true that they did you wrong. And it's often been said too, scientifically proven. Google it, that you need to forgive them for it. You don't condone, but it's for yourself. I actually did, I think I shared with you hypnotherapy for forgiveness,
Yeah.
just for that. Um, but look at them through the lens of their best self, their highest self. They
Yeah.
may be the most disgusting, miserable, lying, whatever,
Yeah.
but you look at the positives within them to move yourself in a different direction.
Right. And forgiveness is not about you did me wrong. I'm going to forgive you out of the goodness of my heart. The traditional thinking,
Right.
it's more like that radical forgiveness of letting yourself off the hook,
Hmm.
taking your power back.
Isn't there somebody once said a phrase to me where it's almost it's your send off and the forgiveness, but um, I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you love, something to that effect. It's like an
Yeah.
affirmation where
Yeah.
you're not going like this, but you're like, goodbye.
Yeah. May you be happy. May you be at peace. May you be,
Yeah.
just giving a blessing instead of a curse.
Right. Right. And it's just, I'm not talking about religion here, but
Yeah.
it is in the Bible to forgive no matter what. It's not really about an eye for an eye. You shouldn't really be thinking that way, you know.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just again, we're not talking about religion here, but that's a principle there. And in the universal world, or the
Yeah.
subconscious world, it works. It
Well,
just
just
happens to
in
work.
in psychology, if you are holding a grudge to someone, you've got this all this anger and going in your body, and it's not changing them at all. It's like drinking poison and expecting them to die. You're just
Yeah.
hurting yourself.
Right. And it's whether you believe it or see it or not, it's
Yeah.
affecting you. It's affecting you in terms of stress, anxiety. You're internalizing it, and you go even deeper than that. All of those things get into your cells and then
Yeah.
manifest and then create sickness, disease.
Yeah.
If you continue to, it's powerful stuff. It's
Chronic stress is prevalent, and it's I was just watching a movie, that Heal movie. I think it's on
hmm,
Prime Video, saying that 90% of doctor visits are about stress
yes,
related. It
yeah.
used to be 70%. Now it's 90.
I'm sure you would know because you deal with it,
Yeah.
helping people, in terms of hypnotherapy,
Yeah.
heal from it, or I guess change your lives. I don't want to say block the stress, but manage it.
No, you don't block it. I mean, you have to deal with the energy, because it's energy. It's just releasing the stress, finding healthier ways to manage, because life is ups and downs. There's always going to be some kind of stress, but then there's good stress too. A new baby, getting married,
Hmm.
this and that, new house. There's always going to be stress. It's life.
If you were to look at the people that you work with and how their challenges are connected to their childhood, and therein lies the subconscious things that were programmed back then, what percentage would you say it is that is truly what's going on there?
Um, I don't like to say that, everything is about childhood. However, in our growing up, we develop habits and behaviors, ways of thinking, ways of seeing
Yes.
ourselves and relationships and the world, our value. Um, and that, we make decisions at 2 years old that we're still living by today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they're
So,
not working, they worked it, they helped us then, get through our childhood. Now, as adults, yay, you survived your childhood.
What would you say percentage wise? If we said, out of the people that you work with, or even in your experience, 100%, it's all about the childhood. It's not, but where would you put what, in terms of your childhood, 0 to 7, maybe 7 to 14, affecting you?
I would say, just off the top of my head, don't
Yeah,
quote me on this.
no, it's hypothetical. We just did a roundabout.
I'd say 90%, 85,
Okay.
90%.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
some people come in, maybe in fear of flying. Maybe they had a good childhood about flying or something, or, who knows?
Hmm.
It's not necessarily that. Um, that they mostly show up when you've got negative coping skills that aren't working for you anymore.
Let's center on that for a sec, because I'm intrigued how our childhoods, whatever happened in our childhood, translates to what you're dealing with now. So let's say, and maybe this was a situation that you helped somebody with. Again, it's all anonymous.
Mhm.
If somebody has a fear of flying, how could that tie back to their childhood?
Um,
Obviously, how often are you 3 years old and on a plane? Of course you can be. Many
right,
times you don't even realize you're on a plane because you're 3, 2, whatever it might
right,
be.
yeah.
But maybe there's something impactful there. I don't know, but I'm just trying to make that
So,
particular connection.
yeah. So a theoretical way, say you're 8 or under the age of 8 or even a little older, um, you know, say your mom freaks out because she has this fear of flying and
Okay.
she's just all panicked. And so you watch her do that because say it's your first, especially your first time on a plane. So you're watching the adults of how are they acting. And
Hmm.
and so you see that, and the child is of course going to be upset about that because they're in so many situations they're taking lead from
Okay.
the adults do, and say that happens over and over and over, or she's always anxious about different things. You may develop a thing of
Hmm.
being anxious. That's how you do things because children are mimicking the pattern. They're watching patterns of behavior to know how to be.
Yeah. And when you think about it, what do you have in a kid's mind? You have a clean slate. It's not jaded. It's
Yeah,
fresh. So that it's a they don't know the difference between, oh, I don't need to worry about that. My mom's worrying about that. No, it's, one of your two primary caregivers dealing with a major situation. And now you're trying to figure out what it is. You don't know any better. Oh my gosh, those planes, horrible. I can't. Whoa, that's bad. That's bad.
yeah.
And now it's been programmed into your mind. Wow. I I've done recently a timeline therapy.
Mm.
I don't know if you do those, but it's all about those different emotions. Could be sadness, could be hurt, even forgiveness, whatever it might be. And the goal is to think of the first memory you have of
Mhm.
that, and there it starts. So you can work there on your way back. And I told somebody this last night. We have a like conversation like we're having now about this kind of stuff, and they couldn't remember back to their things in their childhood.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you don't remember there? And they're like, no, I don't remember anything like that. And I'm like, either I'm making it up in my head or I got stuff. And
Yeah.
I said, usually, and again, I gravitate on research and science. Usually the first memory you have, number one, and also the first memories of different emotions, number two, are usually not good ones. And it goes back to exactly, Becky, what we started talking about here is the
Yeah.
fight or flight. That's the ones you remember. Does
Right.
that sound right?
Yeah, because the subconscious mind again is about keeping you safe, and the more intense the situation, the more it's generalized of anything anything remotely like this, we need to be careful about and not let it happen again because that was horrible.
Not to let it happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because your subconscious is it's protecting you.
Yeah.
So always remember, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We should set our phones like every other hour. A reminder pops up. It is what it is. Yeah, all right, I got you. All right. You work with people in all different capacities, whether it's something that came from their childhood. And the cool thing is you can help them figure that out by taking them back in hypnotherapy. And it's so powerful. Your website is centerforinnerwellness.com, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I learned a lot today in talking with you and loving what is. For somebody that wants to learn more, can they reach out to you as a free consult to start?
Yes. You can sign up on my website for a discovery session. We can have a Zoom meeting and talk about how hypnotherapy might work for you.
And I know there are a lot of people that maybe have an aversion to hypnotherapy. Maybe they have a fear. Don't, but easier for me to say it than not. But
right.
that consultation, you're not going to put them in a hypnotic state.
Oh, no. We just talk about it and then
right.
explain hypnosis and yeah.
And again, if somebody is hypnotized, they can say, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And they're completely out of it. It's again, where we've talked about this. Look for the previous podcast. But when you're hypnotized, you're in a state that you're in during the day anyway. You just don't realize that you're in a hypnotic
natural
state.
Trance, like daydreaming.
Daydreaming is a great one. Yeah, I always forget that one. For me, it's like the great example is you just drove somewhere and you didn't even. How did I get here again? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then my first thought is, how did I not crash? How did that go down? But because
your conscious mind.
Your conscious mind is watching out for you. Becky, always great talking with you, and look forward next time we talk.
All right. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.